Your mind is not your own. This is not a metaphor. This is not poetry. This is a simple fact. From the moment you were born, your mind has been programmed by your parents, by your teachers, by your society, by your religion, by your politicians. And the strange thing is, you don't even know it happened. You think your thoughts are your thoughts. You think your beliefs are your beliefs. You think your opinions are your opinions. But they are not. They were installed like software before you had any say in the matter. Let me tell you how this happened, and more importantly, how you can reprogram it. But first, you need to understand something fundamental. The people who programmed you were themselves programmed. They were not doing this consciously. They were not evil. They were simply passing on what was passed to them. Your parents were programmed by their parents. Your teachers were programmed by their teachers. And this chain goes back thousands of years. You are not living your own life. You are living an echo of thousands of lives before you. And until you see this clearly, really see it, not just understand it intellectually, you will remain a prisoner of this programming. Now, I know what the mind is saying right now. The mind is saying, but I am educated. I am intelligent. I make my own choices. I am not programmed. This is exactly what the programming says. This is the most clever part of the programming. It makes you think you are free. A bird raised in a cage thinks the cage is the world. When you open the door, the bird doesn't fly out. Why? Because it has been conditioned to believe that the cage is safety. The cage is home. The cage is all there is. You are that bird, and your mind is the cage. Let me show you how the programming works. Because once you see the mechanism, it starts to lose its power. When you were a child, you had no beliefs. You had no opinions. You had no ideas about right and wrong, good and bad, moral and immoral. You were simply alive, present, aware. But then the programming began. Your parents told you, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. This makes us happy, this makes us angry. And because you loved your parents, because you depended on them for survival, you absorbed these programs without question. Your teachers told you, this is important, this is useless, this will make you successful, this will make you a failure. And because you wanted approval, because you wanted to fit in, you installed these programs. Your religion told you, this is sacred, this is sinful, this will take you to heaven, this will send you to hell. And because you were afraid, because you wanted security, you accepted these programs. Your politicians told you, this is your identity, this is your enemy, this is your duty, this is your destiny. And because everyone around you believed it, because questioning would make you an outcast, you downloaded these programs. Layer after layer, year after year. The programming became so deep, so automatic, so invisible that you forgot it was there. Now, when a thought appears in your mind, You think it is your thought, but it is not. It is the program running. When an emotion arises, you think it is your emotion, but it is not. It is the conditioned response. When you make a decision, you think it is your choice, but it is not. It is the programming choosing. You are not living. The programs are living through you. I once had a history teacher. This was when I was very young, still in school. On the first day of class, this teacher was at his best. Teachers always are on the first day. They try very hard to impress because they believe the first impression is the last impression. So he was thundering, not speaking, but thundering. And he said something that is repeated again and again to students everywhere. He said, "You have to leave your name in the pages of history. It has to be written in golden letters. You have to make your mark that you have been here." I stood up. I said, "You are shouting too loudly, and here are only 40 students. Are you leaving your mark on the walls of this classroom or on the tables and chairs? You are thundering as if you are addressing a meeting of at least 10,000 people. And can I ask you a few things? One thing, I have never seen any history books written in golden letters. So all those who have been up to now, nobody has been able to write his name in golden letters. Are you proposing that for me, especially, a book will be written in golden letters? And even if it is written in golden letters, I will not be here to see it. So what is the point, whether my name is written in it or not? In fact, when I came into this world, I had no name. The name was given to me, but the name is just arbitrary. It is not mine. So whether it is written in the history books or not does not matter. Secondly, you are saying, leave your mark. Yes, that you have been here. You are talking just like a dog. He said, "What?" I said, "Yes, because dogs leave their mark wherever they go. Lift one leg up and leave the mark there. And I'm not being disrespectful. I'm simply stating a biological fact. You can ask scientists why the dog does that. He leaves his mark that I have been here and this is my territory. This urine is golden. He is making history. And what all the politicians are doing is basically the same." I said, "If you please, just stop thundering and stop telling us nonsense. You just teach us the history of all the idiots of the past. And please forgive us for not wanting to be added to that list." The teacher was silent. He did not know what to say. But do you see what was happening? This teacher was programmed. He was programmed to believe that leaving your name in history is the highest achievement. And now he was programming us. This is how it works. The programmed programming the next generation. Politicians need you to be programmed. Why? Because if you are not programmed, they have no power over you. If you don't believe in nations, how can they make you fight wars? If you don't believe in religions, how can they divide you? If you don't believe their promises, how can they rule you? The whole political structure depends on your programming, on your conditioning, on your inability to think for yourself. Let me tell you about a man I knew. He was a very successful politician. In fact, he became the Education Minister of India, one of the most important positions in the largest democracy in the world. Before he became Education Minister, he was the Vice Chancellor of a university, a very educated man, very intelligent, very rich. He used to come to see me once in a while, just to relax, to get away from the capital and the politicians. And he would ask me again and again, "You teach people methods of meditation, methods of becoming peaceful, silent. And I can understand what you are saying is right, that unless you become silent, peaceful, you cannot hope to be blissful. You have to create the ground for bliss to happen. But you never tell me anything." I said, "I will tell you only when you drop your politics, because you are politics, and my teaching will make you even more miserable. You are miserable enough already. If you start trying to be peaceful, to be silent, even for a few moments, to meditate every day, even for half an hour, you will become more miserable than you have ever been, because you cannot succeed in doing it. It is better that you accept that this is all that life has got: suffering, misery, sleeplessness, and continuous anxiety and anguish and restlessness. It is better that you accept that this is your life. If you become aware that life could be peaceful and you start trying for it, you will be unnecessarily multiplying your suffering. You cannot be peaceful. You cannot meditate. You cannot sit silently. Then that will be a very painful defeat. A great successful politician who has become a cabinet minister of a country like India, the largest democracy in the world, and he was having one of the most important portfolios, education. Such a great, successful man cannot be silent even for one moment. That will be very disturbing. But he didn't listen to me. He started meditating, reading my books, trying the methods. And what I had predicted happened: a complete nervous breakdown. So he came back to me and I said, "I had told you before, these two things cannot go together. You are trying to go in two directions. One leg goes to the east, one leg goes to the west, and you will be torn apart. It is a very simple thing. If you are in politics, then just be in politics. There is no such thing as religion for you. The politician cannot be religious while remaining a politician. Remember the condition. The religious person is on a totally different journey." Do you see what happened? This man was programmed to seek power, to dominate, to control. And when he tried to deprogram himself through meditation, the two programs came into conflict. And he broke down. This is what happens when you try to reprogram the mind without understanding the depth of the conditioning. You cannot just add new programs on top of old programs. That creates conflict. That creates suffering. You have to see the old programs first. You have to become aware of them. Only then can they dissolve. So how do you do this? How do you reprogram the mind? The first step is stop believing that your thoughts are your own. Every time a thought appears, ask, where did this come from? Is this really mine? Or is this something I was taught? When you have an opinion about politics, ask, is this my opinion? Or did I absorb this from my parents, my teachers, the media? When you feel angry at someone, ask, is this really my anger? Or is this a conditioned response that I learned in childhood? When you feel fear, ask, is this real danger? Or is this programmed fear designed to keep me obedient? Just asking these questions begins the deprogramming process, because it creates a gap, a space between you and the programming. And in that gap, you start to see, I am not the programs, I am the awareness that observes the programs. This is crucial. This is the key to everything. You are not your thoughts, you are not your beliefs, you are not your conditioning. You are the awareness in which all of these appear. And once you see this, really see it, not just think about it, the programs start to lose their power. They can still run, the thoughts can still appear, the emotions can still arise, but you are no longer identified with them. You are no longer the prisoner. You are the witness. But here is where it gets tricky, and this is where most people get stuck. The mind is very clever. When you start to deprogram, the mind creates a new program, a spiritual program. It says, I see. I am awareness. I am the witness. I am not my thoughts. And then it makes this into a new identity, a new cage. Instead of being identified with being a politician, a doctor, a teacher, now you are identified with being aware, being spiritual, being enlightened. But this is still programming. This is still the mind. This is still the cage. Real deprogramming is not about creating a new identity. It is about dropping all identity. Real freedom is not about becoming something new. It is about recognizing what you already are. You don't need to become aware. You are awareness. You don't need to become free. You are freedom. The only thing blocking this recognition is the belief in the programs, the identification with the conditioning. Let me give you an example of how powerful this recognition can be. One day I was riding in a car with the same education minister. We were just going for a drive, and a dog started chasing the car. I said to the driver, "Slow down a little. This fool dog is running so much. I think we should slow down. Let him catch the car and see what happens." The politician said, "What will happen?" I said, "You will see exactly that which happens to a politician." The driver slowed down the car. The dog came close to us, and he looked silly because, now what? I asked the education minister, "This is your position. Now what?" He was chasing the car. He was far happier when he was chasing. At least there was something to do, a challenge. But once he reaches the car, then he feels embarrassed because the challenge has disappeared. And he looks around, thinking he must look foolish. Why was he chasing? He never thought about it. What is he going to do if he gets to the car? Even if he sits in the chair of the driver, what is he going to do? All these great politicians sitting in great power in the White House, in the Kremlin, they are like that dogs sitting in the car, looking all around silly, thinking, is this the end? There is nowhere else to go. Once you have reached the White House, you have nowhere to go. You are really caught, imprisoned, and by your own efforts, into a prison. Do you see? The dog is programmed to chase. But the dog never questions the program, never asks, why am I chasing? What will I do when I catch it? You are that dog. You are programmed to chase success, money, power, approval, love. But you never question, why am I chasing? What will I do when I get it? And when you get it, when you reach the goal, you find, now what? The happiness you expected is not there. The fulfillment you thought would come does not come, because the program was faulty from the beginning. It was designed to keep you chasing, not to make you happy. Politicians need you to keep chasing, to keep seeking, to keep believing that happiness is in the future, in achievement, in becoming somebody. Because if you stop chasing, if you become still, if you see that you already are complete, their whole game collapses. They have no power over someone who is not seeking anything. This is why authentic spirituality is dangerous to the political structure. Not because spiritual people want to take power, but because they are not interested in power at all. And this terrifies the politicians. I will tell you a story that shows this clearly. One day, a Shankaracharya, one of the highest religious authorities in India, came to see me. He was newly appointed. He had known me before when he was in a smaller position. He was genuinely concerned. He said to me, "What are you going to get out of this? You are simply making so many enemies. Politicians are your enemies. Religious leaders are your enemies. The rich are your enemies. The poor are your enemies. Capitalists, communists, Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs, Christians, they are all your enemies. I don't see anything that you can get out of this except making everybody an enemy. And yet you enjoy it." I said, "I am going to write a book, How to Make Enemies and Create Enmity. This is just an experiment for the book." He said, "You are never serious." But he was being genuinely concerned because he could see I was attacking every form of programming, political programming, religious programming, social programming, and the programmed people naturally felt threatened. Now, what happened next is important because it shows the power of authentic presence to deprogram even the most conditioned minds. There was a conference in Faridabad, a place near New Delhi. There was a great gathering, Hindu monks, politicians, religious leaders, all on the stage. This Shankaracharya told me privately, there is danger. I cannot say this publicly, but I want to warn you, there is a conspiracy going on. Some people are planning to do something violent at today's meeting because you have been hammering all their beliefs, their heritage, their institutions. Nobody seems to have any answer for you. So they are thinking the way idiots think, kill the man. I said, don't worry. Every moment is fatal to life. Death can come any moment. And this meeting with 50,000 people will be a great opportunity. He said, you are incurable. That evening, the number of people had doubled. There must have been at least 100,000 people, because the gossip had spread that something is going to happen. As I started speaking, I could see 3 men, tough men, just came and sat behind me on the stage. They looked like professionals. Perhaps they were hired for the occasion. Before I started speaking, I said, I want to say a few things about these 3 great men who are sitting behind me. There was great silence. These 3 persons are here to kill me. So you all have to be aware that, at least in this world, they are free to kill. They can kill me. But let me first finish what I want to say to you. If they kill me in the middle, you will be at a loss. You will have missed what I was going to say. So I want to ask you one thing. Do you want me to say all that I have to say? If you want me to, then please raise your hands. If you don't want me to, then what is the point of saying half the thing? Half the truth is far worse than a lie. Then I would rather remain silent and tell these 3 people to kill me. 100,000 hands stood up, shouting, we want to hear you, and we will see who can attack you. And many people, hundreds of people, came behind me, behind those 3 men, to prevent them. I spoke the way I always speak. I said things as strongly as possible. I was speaking against those people's beliefs, against their conditioning, against their programming. But somewhere, something in their innocent hearts was touched. The monks and the politicians, one by one, started leaving the stage. They were all part of the conspiracy, but the whole thing had backfired. The people would not leave those 3 men. They were holding them through the whole meeting. I spoke almost for 2.5 hours because there was nobody else. Nobody to tell me to stop. And those 3 men fell at my feet and they said, somehow save us. If you leave, these people will kill us. I said, just leave them. They have not done anything. Moreover, they are professionals. They have nothing against me personally. I asked them, have you been paid yet? And this is one of those moments when you see a reality that is not ordinarily available. They said they could not speak proper language. They were much less educated. They had been charged with murder before. They had been in jail many times, but they said, they have given us half, and half they have promised after killing. I said, you will lose half. Why don't you kill me and get the other half? They said, we don't want to kill you. We had no idea who you are. Listening to you, we want to kill all those people who were trying to kill you. I said to the people, leave these simple, innocent people. Don't hurt them. I would like them to leave safely before I leave. The conference continued for 3 days, and you will be surprised. Those 3 men were continuously coming to listen, sitting in front of me, tears in their eyes. When I was leaving, they were there with garlands, with tears, and they said, you have changed our whole life. We have always been used like puppets by politicians and priests. We are not criminals. These people have made us criminals. They pay us to commit crimes. If we are caught, they give us legal support. They bribe the judges, everything to save us, because they need criminals for their political careers and their religious careers. Do you see what happened? These men were programmed to be criminals, used by the system. But when they encountered someone who was not part of the programming, someone who was authentic, who was real, something in them recognized it. Something deeper than the conditioning. And in that recognition, the programming started to break. This is the power of authentic presence. This is what I mean by reprogramming. It is not about learning new techniques, not about reading more books, not about following new teachers. It is about becoming so authentic, so real, so present, that the very presence itself becomes a deprogramming force. When you are real, when you are not playing any games, when you are not pretending to be something you are not, this reality is contagious. It touches something in others, something that has been asleep, something that has been covered by layers and layers of conditioning, and it wakes them up. This is the only revolution, the only real change, not political revolution, which just replaces one set of programs with another, but consciousness revolution, where each person becomes aware of their own programming and starts to deprogram themselves. Now, let me address something important, because many people, when they hear this, think, okay, I will rebel against society. I will reject everything. I will become completely different. But this is still programming. This is the program of rebellion. True deprogramming is not about rebelling against the programs. It is about seeing them so clearly that they simply dissolve. It is not about fighting your conditioning. It is about watching it, observing it, understanding it. When you fight something, you give it power. When you watch something, you take away its power. So don't fight your mind. Don't fight your thoughts. Don't fight your conditioning. Just watch. Watch how a thought appears. Watch how it triggers an emotion. Watch how the emotion creates a reaction. Watch how the reaction becomes a pattern. Just watch, without judgment, without trying to change anything. And in that pure watching, something miraculous happens. The programs start to unravel, not because you are doing anything to them, but because the light of awareness itself is the deprogramming force. Darkness cannot exist in light. Similarly, unconscious programming cannot exist in the light of awareness. This is why meditation is not about doing something. It is about being aware. Not aware of something in particular, just aware, alert, present. And when this awareness becomes your natural state, you are no longer programmable. Politicians can say whatever they want. You see through it. Priests can promise whatever they want. You see through it. Advertisers can manipulate whatever they want. You see through it because you are no longer asleep. You are no longer unconscious. You are no longer running on automatic programs. You are awake. And an awakened person cannot be controlled, cannot be manipulated, cannot be programmed. This is the freedom I'm talking about. This is the reprogramming, not replacing old programs with new programs, but becoming free of all programming, living from awareness, from presence, from your own seeing, not from what you were taught, not from what you believe, not from what you think you should do, but from what you actually see, what you actually feel, what you actually are. This is authentic living. This is freedom. Now, I want to tell you about one more encounter, because it shows clearly what happens when someone who is completely programmed meets someone who is free. The Prime Minister of India at that time was Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was a very good man, as good as a politician can be, which is not saying much. But I have known so many politicians, and I can say perhaps he was the best of all those criminals. He said to me, if you were a little less sincere and a little more diplomatic, you could become the greatest Mahatma in the country. But you go on saying the naked truth without bothering that this is going to create more and more enemies for you. Can't you be a little diplomatic? I said, you are asking me to be diplomatic. That means you are asking me to be a hypocrite, knowing something, saying something else, doing something else. I am going to remain the same. I can drop being religious if it is needed, but I cannot drop being rebellious, because to me, that is the very soul of religion. I can drop every other thing which is thought to be religious, but I cannot drop rebelliousness. That is the very soul. Do you see what he was asking? He was asking me to put on a program, to pretend, to be diplomatic, which means to say what people want to hear, not what is true. This is how the system works. It rewards those who play the game, and it punishes those who speak the truth. But if you want to be free, you cannot play the game. You cannot be diplomatic. You cannot pretend. You have to be authentic, even if it means being alone, even if it means making enemies, even if it means being misunderstood, because authenticity is the only deprogramming force. Everything else is just rearranging the furniture in the prison. So here is what I am saying to you. Your mind was programmed by your parents, teachers, society, religion, politicians. This programming runs your life, your thoughts, emotions, decisions, all of it. And the first step to freedom is to see this. Really see it, not just believe it intellectually. Watch your mind, watch your thoughts. Ask, is this really mine, or is this a program? And in that watching, the programs start to lose their grip. Second, don't try to replace old programs with new programs. Don't try to become spiritual. Don't try to become enlightened. Don't create a new identity. Just be aware. Just watch. Just see. Third, become authentic. Stop pretending. Stop playing games. Stop being diplomatic. Speak your truth. Live your truth. Even if the whole world is against you, because authenticity is contagious. When you are real, you give others permission to be real. And this is how the deprogramming spreads, not through arguments, not through convincing, but through presence. Fourth, understand that this is not about becoming something. It is about recognizing what you already are. You don't need to be programmed to be happy. Happiness is your nature when the programs are not running. You don't need to seek peace. Peace is what you are when the mind is not chattering. You don't need to achieve freedom. Freedom is your reality when you are not identified with the conditioning. The programs have made you forget this. They have covered your natural state with layers and layers of beliefs, fears, desires, ambitions. Deprogramming is not adding something. It is removing what is false. Like cleaning a mirror. The mirror doesn't need to become reflective. It already is. It just needs the dust removed. You are that mirror. And awareness is the cloth that removes the dust. So don't make this complicated. Don't make this into another project, another goal, another achievement. Just be aware. Just watch. Just see. And let the programs dissolve in the light of that awareness. This is the reprogramming. This is the freedom. And this freedom is not just for you. When you become free, you become a deprogramming force for others. Not by preaching, not by teaching, not by converting, but simply by being, by your presence, by your authenticity. Like those 3 men who came to kill me, but were transformed by a simple encounter with someone who was real. Like the hundreds of thousands of people who came to a conference expecting entertainment but left with their conditioning shaken. This is the only hope for humanity. Not that religious people will become politicians, but that authentic people will become so present, so real, that the whole political game simply collapses. Because it is based on programming, on conditioning, on sleep. And when enough people wake up, the game is over. The politician has no power over someone who is awake. The priest has no power over someone who is aware. The system has no power over someone who is free. So wake up, be aware, be authentic, be free, not for the sake of changing the world, but for the sake of being true to yourself. And if enough people do this, the world changes on its own. This is the revolution, the only real revolution. Not political, not social, not economic, but consciousness revolution, where each person takes responsibility for their own deprogramming, their own awakening, their own freedom. And when you are free, your very presence becomes a call to freedom for others. This is what I've been doing for 30 years, continuously fighting every kind of programming, political, religious, social, not for any reward, not for any position, not to become a leader, just as an expression of my own freedom, my own authenticity, my own aliveness. And I have seen, when you are authentic, when you are real, when you speak the truth, something in people responds. Even in the most conditioned, the most programmed, the most asleep. Because beneath all the programming, there is something that is not programmable. There is awareness, there is consciousness, there is your true nature. And when that is called, when that is touched, when that is awakened, everything changes. So I am not asking you to follow me. I am not asking you to believe me. I am not giving you a new program. I am simply pointing. Look at your mind. See the programs. Watch them running. And in that watching, you will find the freedom you have been seeking. Not in the future, not after years of practice, not after achieving enlightenment. Right now, in this moment, in the simple act of being aware, you are already free. You just forgot because of the programming. Remember, wake up, be aware, and live from that awareness, not from the programs. This is the reprogramming. This is the freedom. This is your birthright. Don't let anyone take it away from you. Not your parents, not your teachers, not your society, not your religion, not your politicians. You are awareness. You are freedom. You are consciousness itself. Everything else is just programming. And programming can be deleted. See this and be free.